Nice.
Yeah, that's right.
We've become fully personal. We've gone from the impersonal to the personal. Okay, yeah, so we're reading, put record again, reading from the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, chapter 9, text 17, which we read the translation last week, so we'll do that again and then get into the purport. So let's do the Sanskrit. Pitaham masya jagato
Pitaham masya jagato
Mata data pitamaha
Mata data pitamaha
Vedyam pavitram omkara
Vaidam pavitram omkara
Rig sama yajur evacha.
Ritsama yajurrecha. I'm the father of the universe, the mother of the support of the grand desire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and syllable Om. I'm also the Rig, the Sama, and the Yajurveda.
We're gonna test you now what you remember from last week. So, why is Krishna regarded as the father of the universe?
Because he is the one into the seed in everyone.
Correct. Very good.
And then mother is the one, is universe. So it should be the father. And he said, I'm the syllable Om as well. I'm the Om.
Yeah, but so okay, you said why he's the father, because he's putting the souls in the universe, like the father puts the soul through the semen in the mother. So, but how is Krishna the mother? Normally, you don't have the same person as the mother and the father, but in this case, Krishna is the father and the mother both at the same time. So we know why he's the father. So why is he the mother? What's the similarity between the mother and the child and Krishna and us?
Because that's his energy, all that anyway. That's Krishna's energy.
We all exist within Krishna.
What's that?
We all exist within Krishna.
Ah, very good, very good. We all exist within Krishna. So just like the child exists within the mother, right? It's in the mother's womb. So remember, like last week I said, the whole universe is like a gigantic womb. Okay. The universal form, remember? So Krishna is so huge. So remember, like Mahavishnu, right? All the universes come out of his skin pores and everything like that. So this whole universe is Krishna's energy. It's like a gigantic womb, and we're all existing within that. And remember how I said last week that story where Mother Yashoda received a complaint that Krishna was eating dirt. Then she looked inside his mouth and saw the whole universe inside him. So in that way, Krishna is our mother, because we're all living within him. We're all living within him, right? And he's impregnating all the souls into the material world, like Mahavishnu. When he glances over the universe, then all the souls are injected in the material. So in that way, he's the father. So he's acting in all those capacities. He's like the mother, he's the father, and like it said, the support. So, he's maintaining us. So who's supplying? Like I just heard Prabhupada say today, he gave one story that in the time when Russia was in communism, the Communist Party members would go to the people, the simple people that were lined up to the churches there in Russia. A lot of people previously, a lot of people were like Christians, and they were lining up to the churches to pray to God to give us food, pray to give us food and so forth, all their needs. And and the communist guy would turn up there, their party, and say, why are you going to the church? And they said, well, we're coming here to ask God for bread. And the communist guy said, well, have you got the bread? And from going to the church, and the people said, no, we haven't got bread. Well, why don't you ask us? You ask us, the Communist Party, for bread. So they said, okay, my dear communists, give us bread. And the guy said, go in that truck, take as much as you want. So in that way, they were converting people from being Christians, believing in God, to communists. So that was a technique they used to convert people to become communists and just let go of being, religious followers and being followers of communism. And the people were so simple, they didn't understand really what was going on. And they just, started following the communists. But Prabhupada's point was that where do the communists get the bread from? Are they manufacturing the bread in the factory? Of course, they're mixing ingredients together in the factory. But where do the ingredients come from? Are the communists producing the ingredients from which the bread is made?
Well, it all comes from Krishna to start.
Yeah. What is bread made from? Some wheat, flour, ground into flour, and then mix it with some water and some salt. So where does wheat come from? Does it come from the communists or the scientists?
No,
It comes from God. Where does water come from? Does it come from the factory, the scientists, or whatever? No, it comes from God. Of course, we take God's water and we'll manufacture it in a bottle. So we'll put it in a bottle and sell that to you for, $3 a litre. So we're making a profit out of God's water, which is God charging us for water?
No.
Yeah, it's free. But we'll take what God is giving for free and we'll make a profit out of it. So we're like thieves, we're thieves. We're taking God's property and then we're, sell it to people like that. So that was Prabhupada's point. That was very tricky what the communists did. They're presenting that they're the source of the bread, but actually they're not. They've stolen God's property in the form of the wheat and the water and so forth, and then giving it to the people like they're God. But they're not God. They're not actually producing these necessities. But the simple people didn't click. They don't understand that. They're just saying, well, the communists gave me bread. Okay, I don't need to go to God anymore. And Prabhupada was saying this is so foolish when we have a society that think we don't need God. Because actually we do need God, because like here it's saying he's supporting us. He's supporting us, or he's maintaining us. Without God, there's no water, no grains, no air, no sunlight, no nothing, even our body is made of God's energy. Our family, our house is made of God's energy. Everything is God's energy. So yeah, he's maintaining and supporting us. So this is very important to understand. And that's the problem, why if we're ignorant, that we can't understand that everything comes from God. So then we don't have the proper relationship with God. We don't care about God. We don't love God. But if you have this knowledge and you realize that all the things that you're using and enjoying those things, they're all coming from God, then you'll have much more appreciation and gratitude and always be thankful to God. Isn't it? Does that make sense? So bhakti is a very natural process. Bhakti means love. That comes out of this knowledge of understanding how important God is to our lives. We don't have anything without God. If you took God away from our lives, there's nothing left. There's nothing. There's nothing exists. That's what Maya means. Maya means the idea that we're thinking there's something other than God. That's what Maya is. That's the illusion. The illusion is the thinking that there's something that's not God. Even Maya, people don't have proper knowledge about what Maya is. We think the money is Maya. We think the woman is Maya. We think the car and the house is Maya. We think material things are Maya. But that's actually not what Maya means. That's all Krishna's energy. But the Maya is when you think the money doesn't have a relationship with Krishna and you just use it for your own enjoyment. When you think the woman doesn't have a relationship with Krishna and use it for your enjoyment. When you think the house and the car and everything doesn't have a relationship with Krishna and use it for your enjoyment. That's Maya. It's not that the material things themselves are Maya. It's all Krishna's energy. So this is the Vaishnava philosophy, that everything belongs to Krishna. Everything's his energy. He created everything. So everything should be used in Krishna's service. And that in Sanskrit is called Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya. That means real renunciation, real detachment. Mayavadis promote a different kind of detachment called Falgu Vairagya, which is false renunciation, thinking that everything is material. So they say that everything is material. It's all Maya, it's all illusion, it's all false. And they reject everything. They reject, associating with the opposite sex. They reject money. Like one Mayavadi sannyasi was very proud to say, if you put money in front of my hand will automatically be repulsed. It'll be automatically go away from it. Just, trying to show how detached he was from material things. Prabhupada said, if you put money in front of my hand, I'll immediately grab it and use it for Krishna. So that's real renunciation, real detachment, like that. So we need this knowledge. That everything is Krishna's energy. And then you'll know how to have a proper relationship with all the things in the material world. Otherwise, if you don't, then the relationships are not going to be very nice. You're going to end up with a lot of suffering. We're going to end up a lot of suffering if we don't deal with the material Krishna's energy properly. Then the end result will be suffering. But it doesn't have to be like that. If we use Krishna's energy properly in Krishna's service, then it can be a source of great happiness. Like I'll give you an example. It says in the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam, if you build a temple for Vishnu, then that's your ticket back to Godhead. You'll get liberated just by that. If that's all you do in your life, you build a temple for Vishnu, and Vishnu's installed there and worshipped in that place that you built, then that's your ticket back to Godhead. It doesn't say you have to have a high level of Krishna prema or anything like that. Just build a temple for Vishnu. Even if you're not a super duper sannyasi, it doesn't have to say you have to be a sannyasi or anything. It just says build a temple for Vishnu. And what's required to build a temple for Vishnu? What do you need to build a temple for Vishnu?
Everything. Yes.
Money. You need money. So is that money bad?
No, it's not bad.
Money bad. That was your ticket back to Godhead, was that money. But you just got to use that money in Krishna's service, like to build a house for Krishna, to worship Krishna in. If you build a house to worship Krishna in, then that money was your ticket back to Godhead. It wasn't bad for you. But the same money, if you take it to the casino, it's going to completely destroy your life. Completely destroy your life. Like that. So it's not the object that's good. Nothing is good. Nothing is bad. It's how you use it. I just heard Prabhupada say the other day, it's by what you judge whether it's good or bad, not by the thing itself, but by the result. By the result, then you judge this is good or bad. Like if you use the money and you build a temple, when you get liberated, that's a good result. So that was good. That whole process was good. But if you use the money and you go to the casino and you go to hell, that's a bad result. You went to hell. So that was a bad process. That was bad. So it's not the money that's good or bad. but it's what result it gives. Does it give you a result that you develop your Krishna, your love for Krishna and go back to Godhead? Or the result is that you get more entangled in the material world and you're more forgetful of Krishna and everything like that? Actually, I heard one time Prabhupada was talking about material things. He said, we're not against material things. Because a lot of times Prabhupada does talk like he's against material things. But what he said is, so he said, we're not against material things, but what we're against is that if you get so absorbed in your material things that you forget your real mission in life, you forget the real goal of your life, which is to go back to Godhead, that we're against that. That we're against that. So he's saying we're not against the money and the car and the house and the job and the family and everything like that. But if you get so entangled and absorbed in all these material things that you forget your real purpose, which is to go back, coming back to Godhead, then that we're against that. So that's what the guru criticizes. So the guru is not just criticizing the material objects themselves, but has your consciousness got just so wrapped up in these things that you forget about who you are and who God is and what's your relationship with God and how to serve God, because you're so engrossed in the car and the woman and the job and everything like that God never comes into your brain because you're so entangled and all the materialistic things. But if you use all those things in your Krishna service, I mean, I was completely blown away yesterday. One of the devotee friends I'm connected with on Facebook, Radha Shamasundar, he sent this post of a Krishna conscious family. So it was a mother and father and 5 kids, like 3 boys, different ages, and 2 girls, different ages. And they were all doing kirtan together in their house. And I was in ecstasy. I was completely in ecstasy because they were just, and it wasn't, they were just weren't like superficially, just ritualistically, mechanically chanting. It was like from the heart, you could see even the boy, and he must have been like 18 years old, the oldest boy. And normally an 18-year-old boy, you wouldn't expect to be very spiritual. It's all about fast cars and girlfriends, but he was like, I just looking at his face while he was chanting the Maha Mantra, and he was so absorbed. Oh my God. He was just intensely, he was like crying out the holy name, and the whole family. And they were all expert musicians. And I saw different videos, and all of them play the mridanga, all of them play the harmonium, all of them play the flute as well, and they all sing. They all singers. So they all singers, all musicians, and the mother, the father, the kids, everything. And you see in the altar is like beautiful Gauri Thai, beautiful Radha Krishna, and a life-size Prabhupada deity and a small Prabhupada deity. And outside, they saw outside is snow. It's like some godforsaken freezing place in Northern Europe.
No, it's Canada.
Oh, Canada. That's even worse. So it's freezing cold, probably minus 30 outside. The car was buried underneath the snow. And they're in ecstasy. They're completely in ecstasy inside, And I was just blown away. So is that Maya? Well, family life is Maya. No, that's better than sannyasis. Better than sannyasis. Amazing example. I was like thinking, wow, this is incredible. That they've raised up these children to be so Krishna conscious, and they're all happily like Krishna conscious together. So inspiring. I mean, my God, my enthusiasm went through the roof just seeing them on a video on the other side of the world. It's just amazing. So nothing is Maya on its own. But it's like, what is the result?
Have you seen that in the YouTube? You've seen
Yeah,
them in
now
the
I
YouTube?
subscribe to their YouTube channel. So
Okay.
they've got quite a few
Can you
videos.
send me a link?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
well,
send, we'll
yeah,
send,
they're
yeah.
really inspiring for you. You should see it. You should see. You will. Gianty will send you the link. They're cool. They're really cool. And I told Gianty you should learn that tune that they were singing, because the tune, even the tune was cool. It was so good. It was so simple, but man, it was like really pull on the heartstrings. It was so good. It got me really excited. Yeah. And immediately I saw it, then I handed over to Gianty, and then she was absorbed in it for ages and looking at their things.
No, because the other thing is they're growing so many things, and their youngest daughter, Hare Krishna, and their youngest daughter, like she's, she's getting butter out of yogurt, like she's churning. Yeah, there's a churning rod, and she's churning and getting, and she's collecting so much butter. She's the one who's collecting it. She must be maybe 8 years old,
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was amazing. I was like, oh my God, these guys are like, I wish I could be associating with them. Then I'll get some enthusiasm to do stuff, Yeah. Amazing family.
It's really nice.
So yeah, if they can do it, then we can do it. But yeah, we're not going to do the 5 kids bit. That's too much. Too late for that. Yeah. But yeah, just being enthusiastic and Krishna consciousness. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. Yeah, let's read the purport. Okay, Bhakti Mala, do you want to read the purport? The entire cosmic.
The entire cosmic manifestations, moving and non-moving, are manifested by different activities of Krishna's energy. In the material existence, we create different relationships with different living entities who are nothing but Krishna's marginal energy. Under the creation of Prakriti, some of them appear as our father, mother, grandfather, creator, etc. But actually they are parts and parcels of Krishna. As such, these living entities who appear to be our father, mother, etc. are nothing but Krishna. In this verse, the word Dhyata means creator. Not only are our father and mother parts and parcels of Krishna, but the creator, grandmother and grandfather, etc. are also Krishna. Any living entity being part and parcel of Krishna is Krishna. All the Vedas therefore aim only towards Krishna. Whatever we want to know through the Vedas is but a progressive step towards understanding Krishna. That subject matter which helps us purify our constitutional position is especially Krishna. Similarly, the living entity who is inquisitive to understand all Vedic principles is also part and parcel of Krishna, and is such also Krishna. In the Vedic mantras, the word Om, called Pranava, is a transcendental sound vibration and is also Krishna. And because in all the hymns of the 4 Vedas, Sama, Yajur, Rig, and Atharva, the Pranava or Omkara is very prominent. It is understood to be Krishna.
So what did Prabhupada say? Our mother and father are also Krishna. So this is very interesting to think about that. So we all have mums and dads, right? But they're actually parts and parcels of Krishna, that Krishna has arranged that they assume that role of acting as a mother, acting as a father, like that. But they're all just random living entities, and according to our karma, according to our past activities, we end up with a particular mother and a particular father. And but each life we have a different, probably different, I mean, there could be similar ones, but usually they'd probably be different because our karma is always changing. So we have different mothers and different fathers, life after life. So if you had 1 million births, you could have had 1 million mothers and 1 million fathers, but they're all just instruments of Krishna to act in that role, to, you know, maintain, like a mum and dad, what do? They maintain us, and, you know, they get us educated and feed us and clothe us and, you know, give us shelter and all that kind of stuff, and give us love and everything like that. So they're doing that on behalf of Krishna, on behalf of Krishna. And they're going to do a good job of that, or a bad job of that, more or less, depending on our karma. Like, you know, if our karma is not so good, they might do a pretty bad job as a mother and father. And if our karma is more better, they might do a really good job like that. But in any case, they're just instruments of Krishna. And what we've seen is that, like, for example, we might think, well, what if some kid didn't have a mother or a father or both? Would they survive? What do you think? If the kid didn't have a mother or didn't have a father or didn't have both?
If Krishna wants, he can survive.
Well, you need your mother, or you need somebody to take care of you when you're a baby, otherwise you won't survive.
It actually reminds me of a very interesting story which I heard recently. Prabhupada was talking about the Mahabharata, the history of the greater history of the world. And you know about Karna, right? Who Karna is?
Yep.
So Prabhupada was telling the story how Kunti, she was, her father's a king. And great sages would go to the king's palaces, and she was deputed one time as a young girl, young woman, to serve the great sage Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni, you've got to be careful with Durvasa Muni, because he's a partial expansion of Lord Shiva. And actually, interesting we mention Lord Shiva. Interesting we mention that, because today is the very auspicious holy day of Shivaratri. So Lord Shiva ki jai. Shivaratri today, Mahashivaratri. It's which is said to be the day that Shiva married Durga. So the day that Shiva got married, it's said that's what Shivaratri is. A Ratri actually means night. So I don't know whether they got married at night or something about the night, but anyway, it's the night of Lord Shiva. So of course, Lord Shiva's followers are mainly mode of ignorance living entities like ghosts and stuff, which are very active at night. So I don't know why it's what the night has got to do with it, but it's said to be when they got married. Anyway, Durvasa Muni is a partial expansion of Lord Shiva. So, and the characteristic there of Lord Shiva and Durvasa Muni is that they're very easy to please them, very easy to please, and very easy to make angry also. So there's a lot of cases where Durvasa Muni got angry and he would curse. And he would curse the people, you know, if he got angry like that. So in this case, Kunti, as a young woman, was serving the guest, Durvasa Muni, and she pleased him. And being pleased, he wanted to give a benediction. He gave the benediction that you can call any demigod anytime you want. So he gave the mantras to call these demigods. And then later on after that, as a young woman, you know, she's, you know, girls just want to have a bit of fun, right? So let's try out my mantra. So the first one she called was the sun god, Vivashvan. And she was thinking, oh, no one's going to come. I'll just play with this mantra. But she didn't realize this is serious business. So she chanted the mantra to the sun god, and the sun god came in her room. So you're like standing right in front of the sun god. It would be pretty incredible for a young girl to have the sun god stand in front of her. And then, and Vivashvan, you know, these great personalities, they don't turn up and you don't get anything out of it. There has to be some kind of result you get from their coming. They're not just going to come and say, hi, how are you? Okay, thank you, see you later. They're going to like give you something. So he said, oh, I'm going to give you a child. And she said, no, I'm not married. You can't give me a child. And Indian culture, that's the number one no-no, is if you're not married to have a child. So no, I don't want a child. And Sun God said, don't worry, I can give you a child without your virginity being messed up. So the child was born out of her ear. Was actually born out of Kunti's ear, and that's why the child's name was Karna. Karna means ear. So Karna was born from her ear. So her virginity was intact. That's very good. But the problem is, what am I going to do with this little kid? If they start seeing this little kid, then they're going to realize I've been up to something. So she didn't know what to do with the kid. I can't keep the child because I'm not married. So it was heartbreaking for her to do this. And, and she couldn't do what the modern mothers do and kill the child. That was too much for her to conceive of that. But she put Karna in a little basket and put him in the river as a baby. Put the baby, Karna, in the river and just pushed him off downstream. And it must have been completely put it, ourselves in her position, must have been completely heartbreaking. Like there's a saying, right, between a rock and a hard place. So that was really between a rock and a hard place. And what do? If you keep the child, you're damned. And if you get rid of the child, you're damned. So it's a lose-lose. Anyway, she pushed the child away. It must have completely broken her heart. Her first child, and then to the father's the sun god. Oh my God. He was like radiant like the sun and everything like that. He was born with curvatures, like special
protection
ornaments on his ears, and like he had these armlets, bracelets and stuff, special bracelets and that, and on his ears, earrings, special earrings and stuff. Like they're born with that, but part of his body, not like a separate thing you take off, like part of his body, like you couldn't take it off like that. So a really special child, and she just had to detach from that child. Must have been so hard. And anyway, so what we'd think, right? Okay, no mother, no father. The kid's going to die. Just floating downstream, he's going to die. Did he die? No. Because what happened, one fisherman was there and just saw this kid floating down the stream in a basket and just took the kid. And then his wife was so happy to get this beautiful baby, incredibly beautiful baby, like heavenly looking baby. So they both accepted the child as, okay, we're his new mum and dad. We don't know who his real mum and dad is, but we're going to become his mum and dad. So my point is that, okay, say these souls, Krishna has appointed to be the mother and father of this other soul, to look after them, maintain them and that. If for some reason they're taken out of the picture, right? Krishna can easily arrange some other souls to take that role. So anyone can take that role. And it's according to their karma, how well they're going to get looked after, how they're not going to get looked after, or whatever like that. But Krishna can make, so many plans like that. And there are cases, of course, the other extreme, where the kid has a mother and has a father, and the kid dies, right? And another kid doesn't have a mother, doesn't have a father, and he lives. So it's not just having a mother and father that make a difference. It's how much, mercy, protection you have from Krishna that matters. Prabhupada gave the same story of like, it's not just having all these good material arrangements that matters. It's God's mercy that matters. An example he gave was like, they had the strongest ship ever built, right? I think it was said to be unsinkable. And what happened? On its first trip, it sunk. The Titanic, right? So it said it's impossible to sink it, but it sunk, because, and there's that saying, right? Rake Krishna Mare Ke, Mare Krishna Rake Ke. If Krishna wants to protect you, no one can kill you. And if Krishna wants to kill you, no one can protect you. So even if you got the best ship, the best, let's look another example. If you got the best doctor, say you're sick, you got the best doctor, you give him $1 million. Okay, mate, I'll give you $1 million to make me live for another 10 years. Can he do that?
There's no guarantee.
No guarantee. And another person has no doctor and he lives. And the guy that has the $1 million doctor and he dies. So it's not just the doctor. It's not just the ship. It's not just how much sports you play and how good a diet you have and all this kind of stuff. It's how much protection and mercy, how much Krishna's pleased with you.
Sometimes there's a heart surgeon, he'd do the 2 heart surgery, similar, exactly. Yeah. And one survived, one died.
Yeah.
Same heart surgeon.
Yeah.
So I did the same thing, same procedure, exactly the same, but one survived, one died.
Yeah.
What surgeon gonna do? He said, I didn't do nothing different, exactly the same, but one survived, one died. So heart surgeon doesn't know why. It's just,
but we know why. It's the Krishna factor.
Of course.
So the Krishna factor is the main factor, not the parent factor, not the ship factor, the doctor factor. It's not the army factor, how strong you are factor, how brainy you are factor. It's Krishna factor. That's the main thing. And that devotee is the most intelligent person because they surrender to Krishna, knowing that, you know, when you're in Krishna's hands, whatever happens is the best thing. It's the perfect thing.
That's right.
And even if Krishna arranges, takes away the parents or whatever happens, the ship sinks or whatever, that's all Krishna's mercy. The devotee always takes it. And I heard Prabhupada say that verse today from the 10th canto. Tatenu kampam susamiksamano. Mean that the devotee tolerates all kind of difficult situations, so at the same time seeking your mercy. So definitely there's going to be difficult situations we have to go through. And Prabhupada explained that's just the nature of the material world. And what's the evidence of that? That it doesn't matter who you are, but if you're in the material world, you have to suffer. So what's the evidence of that? And Prabhupada explained, just like the Pandavas, right? Did the Pandavas have an easy, happy life?
No.
It's like misery one after another misery. But who was their best friend? Who was the Pandavas' best friend? Krishna. And who's Krishna? He's God. So you got God as your best friend. Do you had an easy life? No.
It's like, but it's a tough life, but they have got a faith in there.
Exactly. I mean, so they pass through all those. Yeah. Prahlad Maharaj, easy life? No, horrible life. But yeah, he like Singadev's grace, you know, his faith, he passed through it. Dhruva Maharaj, easy life? No, very difficult life. Haridas Thakur, easy life? No, difficult life. You know, he was whipped, he was caned.
Don't go any further. Look at the Prabhupada life. It was easy life
difficult.
in America? No,
so difficult. Yeah. 2 heart attacks even before he started his set foot in America. Like that. So that's what the prayer of the devotee is. Please, my Lord, help me to tolerate the miseries. At the same time, please be compassionate and merciful to me. And praying that let me always remain engaged in your service with my body, mind, and words. And the verse ends saying, for the devotee that does like that, then they inherit the kingdom of God. They'll inherit the kingdom of God. It's called Dayabak. The Sanskrit for that is Dayabak. That means like inheritance. That's the equivalent of what we call inheritance. So, like if you got rich parents, then it's guaranteed that when they die, then you're their son or whatever, daughter or son, then you're going to get their property. You're going to inherit their property. So it's the same thing. Like if you can just remain in Krishna consciousness, it's guaranteed. You will you will go back to Godhead. You will go.
What happens
you will
if
have to
there's
get-
some devotee of the Krishna,
Yeah.
and they have got a quite lot inheritance? Would they pass it on to their children, or they can donate to the temple?
You can do whatever you like. It's free choice. So there'll be people that do both, like that. Yeah. There's different options there. Different options.
You can donate it to me if you want, Gulshan.
Sure, sure, Bhaktimala Swamini.
I know some ISKCON sannyasis, they left money in a fund for any future devotees that were in a similar situation of like some disease or something, like Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. He had cancer, so he died with cancer. So he left a lot of money for future devotees that have cancer and like that, you know.
Really?
So yeah,
I think I should have to go there.
yeah.
I've got a chance.
Yeah. So yeah, there's different ways of doing it. Yeah. But yeah, ISKCON should be very trustworthy. If they want to take the devotees' money, they should be very trustworthy like that. So, and Prabhupada said that, you know, ISKCON should remain very high standard, should remain very high standard, always be very paka. Paka, you know, Gulshan knows what the word paka means. What does paka mean?
It's strict.
Yeah, very
Paka Brahman means is strict, following.
very strict, very
all-
perfect, very
Right,
perfect,
yes.
very strict.
But is it
If
happening?
you're not strict and not perfect, then people are going to see that, and people are not
Yes.
going to be inspired to hand over the dosh, hand over the loot like that, hand over the gold or whatever it is, you know, the property. But yeah, if you're very strict, very perfect, then naturally people want to give like that. So,
But
case by case.
Prabhupada
But yeah, it's
knows that,
interesting.
it's not going to be the same that after me, when I, leave this body, it may not be running the same as smooth way the Prabhupada was running. It's, the main person is gone. It's just that others are making a decision, but not as good as Prabhupada.
Yeah, not as good as Prabhupada, yeah. And that's expected too,
Of course.
because he's a Bhagavad, you know, he's a great soul. He's a completely perfect, pure devotee. So the organization after he leaves is not going to be quite the same.
But they're trying to be, trying to be whatever best they could. And still they're running an increasing number of temples in the world, increasing number of devotees. It's all increasing there. A lot of people that try, went to America and all these yogis and all that. But Prabhupada, tried 50 years ago, and then it's increasing in today's date, like, in India as well as all over the world, their number of devotees are increasing. Even I heard that one debate about like a Muslim scholar. They say we read the Bhagavad Gita as well. They have got the Vara such a way and a clear way. It's better than Quran. And they were the priest. And then two of them, they were saying, one of the priests is mine. I read that every single line in there, and it's just perfect there, what we have to do in this life. But people doesn't understand. They're like very strict in their religion, and they doesn't want to listen anything else. But our religion is the only one which is anyone can come and go. Like in a Muslim religion, it says if somebody trying to convert you, you have to kill that person, a person you getting converted. It's written there.
Wow.
So how scary, how fearful they are.
Yeah.
We are fearless. Anyone come to ISKCON and go.
Yeah.
How fearful they are.
What did you say? Someone's got to kill who?
Somebody is like, for example, if any Muslim people, if somebody trying to convert a Muslim to a Christianity or any other, it's written there, you have to kill the person who's converting and kill the person who's get converted.
Oh dear.
So you see how much fear is they have got. And we got no fear. Anyone can come and go anytime. If you think it's worth it, stay. If you don't think it's worth it, go. You got no fear at all. But they're so fearful. What happened? Our religion is not going to last on this planet. So anyway, that's why you know the Shyamananda Prabhu, he was going to Pakistan for distribute the Gita and all that. You know, like his region was Pakistan, and I said, "Well, careful. Like you know, if somebody find out you are converting them, they will kill them converter as well as you." And it's very, very. I don't know if it's still going there or not, but it's very, very tough.
Normally, they're only allowed to preach to other Hindus. You know, the Hindus that live there.
If any Muslim come there, it's gonna be the harder one. And they were thinking you're trying to convert him, but they didn't. He was preaching in the temple, and the Muslim walk in. Let's see, he's inquisitive. He said, "I want to know what is it in the Bhagavad Gita." But then he'll be in trouble whether he did something or not.
What I think is attractive about Krishna consciousness, in the way I experienced it, was that it felt genuine because I wasn't getting asked to pay like $200 to do a course. You know, I was, you know, when we come to the Bhakti Tree, we paid for dinner, but we were getting the kirtan. It was just given to us for free. And your classes that you used to give it to us were for free.
Oh, today is free.
I felt like, today, you know.
God, if I charge you guys for the last 4 years, I'd be a millionaire.
You would be. But that's what I mean. Like at the moment, like I see all these courses, like
if you charge them, then
we'll give you peace and happiness, but you just need to give us $1,000, you know. And I think that was attractive to me because it felt like, well, they're not trying to get my money, or they're not, you know, they're just giving me things. They're just giving it to me. You know, I think that's
if you
pretty.
Charge, I don't think so. We can learn.
Yeah.
We can't learn like if you start charging.
It wasn't an ulterior motive.
Like reporters and that, when Prabhupada came to America, would question him, stick the speaker in front of his face. "Why have you come to America?" And Prabhupada said, "I've come to give you what you've forgotten."
Yeah.
You know? And said that when he went to England, it was interesting. When he went to England, he said, you know, they said to him, you know, "Why have you come to England?" And said that
What have you come to take from us?
That when you were in charge of India, you took everything from India except for one thing. You forgot, because they took all the money, all the spices, all the silk, all the things. But he said you forgot to take one thing. You forgot to take our spiritual culture, Krishna consciousness. So I'm coming to give you that. I'm giving you the one thing that you forgot to take. He's so clever, you know, like that. And he just completely smashed them, because it's really embarrassing that they, like, you know, completely robbed that country, you know, for 200 years like that. "Oh yeah, you forgot one thing. I've come to bring you the one thing you forgot to steal from us." That's so nice. And so many of those English persons, you know, they became devotees, you know. So nice.
It's a great story. Like, you know, when the great Alexander came to India, and he went back, and then one of the guys said, like, you know, "What can we take from India?" He says that if you can take a yogi with you. So, really? Why can't he come there? And he just sent there a few of his soldiers to get the yogi. And the yogi says, "Nah." He said, "What do you mean you're saying no? Do you know this sword? I'm going to take your head off." He said, "Yes, you can take my head off, but I wouldn't go." He said, "Man, what a courage." He went back and said to Lord, you know, Sikander, like, you know, Alexander, he refused to come. He said, "Refused to come? Really?" You know, the great Alexander's, like, his forces go, then people bow down. And how? He went there and he said, "I'm going to chop your head off." He said, "Yes." He says, "You will see and I'll see that too." He said, "What do you mean?" He said, "When you chop my head, I'll see as well as you see." Wow. What are you saying? Like, what are you telling? "Yes, I'm not a body. Yes, you can take this body, you can't take me." Oh my Lord, it's just like a big thing. It just bowed down. He says, "My God, what a solid, like, you know, yes, you can take my body, but you can't take me."
Yeah.
So if you have to take me, you have to be humble.
Yeah.
That's the only condition I can come. Same is like, if you humble to Krishna and everything, done. But nothing on the edge of the sword. Who won that with the fight with the sword? Yes, you can win the country or people, but you cannot win the heart with the fight. You cannot. No way. The old people ruled in India. Yes, you cannot.
And what happened afterwards? That after Alexander was conquering so many countries, after he left those countries, he would move on, and they would all go back to what it was before, because they couldn't maintain it. So just conquering, but he didn't set up the proper system to maintain all those things. So
if he a Prabhupada disciple, he could do better.
Yeah, of course.
But then if he's a Prabhupada disciple, he won't conquering anyway. That's Prabhupada did very.
It was great, how Prabhupada would go to a place, but he would inspire the people how to continue on after he left. Like Prabhupada only went to Russia once, and that I think was just for about 3 days, and he spoke to one Russian student. That was all. He just talked to one Russian student, but he planted the seed.
He planted
the seed of Krishna consciousness in the heart of, he inspired that Russian student, and that Russian, then he planted the seed in thousands of people. And actually, the Russian student said to Prabhupada, "Oh, I need a wife." And Prabhupada said, "No problem, I'll send you a wife." So he sent one of his female disciples to become the wife of this first Russian devotee. So, Prabhupada gave him whatever necessary to help him in his service. And he did such a brilliant service. And in the end, he got, Krishna consciousness exploded in Russia in the communist time, all undercover. It was as dangerous as in a Muslim country like that. They would, kill you if they found you, and, promoting religion. And he was actually taken by the communists and put into a psychiatric prison and tortured there. He was tortured there inside there, and famous. And, you've heard about that book. Some of you might have read it, Salted Bread. Yeah. The difficult times there. Really hard to read.
It's pretty horrific.
And talking about what we were saying, right, that we have to tolerate the miseries, because not necessarily because you're a devotee there won't be any problems, but what Krishna consciousness can give you the ability to tolerate those problems. You see? So it's not necessarily changing what's going to happen to you because of your karma, but what it will change is your ability to how you respond to that situation. So how you respond to that situation can be massively different. Before Krishna consciousness, we would say, oh, this is very negative, this is very depressing, whatever, this is very stressful. But after Krishna consciousness, then you see that situation, same thing, as Krishna's mercy. And actually the devotee thinks, I deserve a lot worse due to my past bad karma, but Krishna's just minimized it. So you're seeing in a very positive way, that it should have been worse, but Krishna has reduced it. So you see everything in a positive way. Whatever Krishna arranges, ultimately it's good, because Krishna is all good. So whatever he arranges is good. So the devotee is operating on that level of consciousness, that whatever Krishna arranges is good for me. Even I'll tell you some crazy things that happened even to Prabhupada in the time of ISKCON. Many wonderful things were happening and like that. But also some pretty crazy stuff was happening because, Prabhupada's dealing with, pretty crazy Kali Yuga people like us, right? So some of Prabhupada's disciples would go to Vrindavan, which sounds very good. But what wasn't very good is there was envious godbrothers of Prabhupada there and also envious Hindu Brahmins that poisoned some of the disciples' ears with horrible philosophy like that, and saying things like, for example, that you have made great offense, that these are like these people, Indians, telling Prabhupada's Western disciples, you have greatly offended your spiritual master because you haven't understood that he's God. You haven't understood that he's God, that Prabhupada is God. So they're propagating Mayavad philosophy, that we're all God, right? So some of these sannyasi disciples went back to America and so forth and started telling the disciples, other God brothers and sisters, that we have made a great mistake. We have not given enough respect to Prabhupada. Actually, we should respect Prabhupada more because he's God. So they started telling everyone that Prabhupada's God. And then when Prabhupada heard that, he said, well, now the whole movement has been destroyed. Because this is like the most destructive kind of mentality where we're thinking we're all God, right? So you could tell this Mayavad philosophy was gone into it's gone. So he said, oh, it's all ruined. It's all finished. So he left the West and he went back to India. This was like in 1969 or something like that. He went back to India. On the way to going back to India, he stopped in Japan, and he organized printing his books with Dai Nippon, a big printing company there, Dai Nippon. You can read it in Prabhupada Leela Reader, all this stuff. And then, so that was a very wonderful thing. And that only happened because he got forced out of America because of this Mayavad impersonal philosophy. He ended up getting this amazing opportunity to print his books on a really massive scale. And then he went back to India just because he was so frustrated and fed up with what had gone on in America. And then because of that, he set up 3 massively huge, beautiful temples in Vrindavan, which we have Krishna Balaram Mandir, in Mayapur, Radha Madhava, and in Bombay, Mumbai, Radha Rasa Bihari. Those 3 temples would never have happened if Prabhupada hadn't been forced out of America, by those horrible things happening. So years later, after all this, and then what happened was, so he went to India, and then from India, he sent, messages and letters and stuff to America, and they, sorted out all that wrong idea and saying that, no, I'm not God. I'm a servant of God. Like that. I'm a servant of God. And that's when, because of that happened, in the beginning there was just the one mantra, Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastai Budalai Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tamamani. After that incident happened, he sent out a second mantra for the devotees to offer to him. Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharane, Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Paschachari Satarane. That Prabhupada is Namaste Saraswati Devi. He's a servant of Saraswati. Who's Saraswati? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So that mantra is saying that he's not God. He's a servant of his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And why has he come to the West? Yeah, to preach the message of Lord Chaitanya, what is the message of Lord Chaitanya? That we're not God, that we're the servant of God. That's the 2 words. Nirvasesha means Mayavad philosophy, and Sunyavadi means Buddhist philosophy. So Mayavad philosophy says everything is one, and Buddhist philosophy says everything is 0, nothing. But it's the same kind of philosophy. If everything's 1 or everything's 0, it means no variety. It's all 1, all nothing. So that's why Prabhupada in that mantra is saying that he's come to the West to deliver the West from this Mayavad and Buddhist philosophy. So Prabhupada's, eternally made it clear with this mantra that he's not God. He's a servant of his spiritual master, and he's come to kick out Mayavad philosophy, that we're all one with God and all this rubbish like that. So that came out through him being pushed out of America with this rubbish, which originated from Vrindavan of all places, envious envious devotees in Vrindavan, you know, like that. And then yeah, so he managed to sort it out, and then he did go back to the West. That all got sorted out. And then years later, like in 1976 or something, he's sitting on the seat, the speaker's seat in Vrindavan Temple, you know, Krishna Balaram Mandir, the Vyasa-san, giving a class. And in the class, he told that story of what happened with the Mayavad philosophy in ISKCON. And he said, at the time, I could not understand. I was thinking, Krishna, why have you done this? Why have you taken the movement, the Hare Krishna movement away from me like that? Why have you done this? Actually, he didn't take it away, but it seemed like at the time that it was ruined. It was completely finished. And he's saying at the time, I couldn't understand. This was like in 1969, but he's reflecting. This is like in 1976, reflecting back on those, 6 or 7 years earlier, why Krishna took it away. And now he's saying, now I can understand why Krishna did that. Because he said, now Krishna has given me temples hundreds of times better than what was there before. At that time, 1969, the best temple was Los Angeles. That was the headquarters of ISKCON in the late 60s, early 70s. The ISKCON world headquarters was in Los Angeles. It's still there, that temple. It was an old church that they purchased. It was, the street's called Watseka Avenue. You can go, I highly recommend if anyone goes to America, although I don't recommend going to America, but if you do go to America, then go to this in Los Angeles, Watseka Avenue, and it's completely spiritual street. The devotees have purchased all the properties on that street. So if you go on that street, not only the temple is there, but all the houses, you'll see like a big, 2-meter high poster of Prabhupada in the window, and the devotees coming out of all the houses and everything. There's like hundreds and hundreds of devotees there. When they celebrate Prabhupada's birthday, Vyasa Puja, after Janmashtami, they block the whole street for that festival. No traffic can come in that street. And they've got some arrangement there. And they serve prasadam on the street. So there's just so many people, thousands and thousands, that everyone sits down on the street. I was there that day, and they serve prasadam to all those people. It's like completely transcendental place. So that was the world headquarters. And then, but like Prabhupada mentions there in 1976 in Vrindavan, now Krishna's giving me temples hundreds of times better than that. Because you can't compare, any of those Western places with like the Vrindavan temple, Mayapur temple, the, Mumbai temple, Juhu, just magnificent. Even like Juhu is called Heaven on Earth. That's the name of the project. It's like completely amazing. It's all marble. There were no temples outside of India that are all marble. So just beautiful, and beautiful deities and everything beautiful. And so Prabhupada was seeing that at the time that this was, a very difficult situation, but actually it turned out to be very positive. So that's my whole point of telling you all this, is that ultimately, if you just remain in Krishna consciousness, even though you go through ups and downs or whatever, but ultimately it's all going to become very positive, very wonderful. And sometimes you might have to take one step backwards and then go 2 steps forward, like that. But somehow, it's part of Krishna's plan. Like it seemed like Prabhupada took 1 step backwards, but he get 10 steps forward, like that. So we don't, of course, maybe see it at the time. We think, oh, this is terrible. But no, it's all part of Krishna's plan for us. Krishna knows, what our weaknesses are, what our shortcomings are, what our anarthas are, the bad things in our heart that need cleaning out. And he's making arrangements to purify us. He's making arrangements to purify us. But we should know that he's always with us. He's our supreme mother, our supreme father, our supreme friend, our supreme supporter, our grandfather. He's everything. So he's always there with us. Always there with us. I rewatched my most favorite movie on the planet, Tukaram, which is a 1930s black and white movie with spoken in Marathi with English subtitles. And I just love that movie. Great devotee. He was present during the time of Lord Chaitanya. It's actually said he met Lord Chaitanya, and he's become famous in that western part of Maharashtra in India. Very famous even today. There's many devotees of Tukaram there, and same process as us, always chanting God's names. Panduranga Hari, Panduranga Hari, Vitala, 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 Vitala. It's so ecstatic watching them singing and dancing.
I'll send them the link.
Yeah, send them she'll send you the link for that movie. You must watch it. I mean, so upset with you if you don't watch that movie. It's just so good. There's so many valuable lessons in that movie. But one thing is that, like, for example, he's a great devotee of Krishna in the form of Panduranga, but his wife is a great atheist. She doesn't believe in Krishna at all. In fact, she hates Krishna. She's like Kamsa, like anti-Krishna, so much. But she loves her husband. I mean, very dutifully serving her husband. And her husband's a great devotee. So indirectly, she's serving God. But directly, she doesn't like God at all. And she's a great devotee of, like, Durga. And one time she's carrying food she cooked for her husband who's meditating out in the forest, and she stands on a thorn, and she's like screaming in pain and trying to get the thorn out. She can't get it out, and this old man just turns up out of nowhere, and looks at her foot, and then he grabs another thorn, because that's the process, right? How do you get a thorn out? You use another thorn to get the thorn out. So with this thorn, he plucked this thorn out of her foot. And she was very relieved, obviously, and very grateful. And she asked him, "Oh, what's your name, old man?" And he said, "Panduranga." And she went just livid with rage. "Panduranga!" And she picked up a rock and, like, hefted at this old guy. She was so angry to hear that name. She hated the name Panduranga. And then this old guy's, like, running away. And then in the movie, you see when the old man gets behind the bushes, he transforms into young Krishna, Bal Gopal. He transforms into Bal Gopal. And he's, like, laughing his head off. He had a good joke there. He had a good bit of fun. So, he'd come in disguise like that. So that's not even for a devotee that God came. You understand that? She wasn't even a devotee. She was the devotee of a devotee. Now, I think even if I'm not really a good devotee of Krishna at all, I don't have much love for Krishna at all, but if I can become a devotee of Prabhupada, who I know is a very good devotee of Krishna, then maybe Krishna will be merciful to me. So that's what we should try to do. Become a servant of the servant, as much as possible. Even we might not have much love for God, but we should try to develop some love for God's servants, like Prabhupada and so forth, like that. And then guaranteed. And that's what... in the beautiful pastime when back to Devasa Muni again, interestingly, who's an expansion Lord Shiva on the special day of Shivaratri, that this time is an example of Devasa getting angry. We told one of him being pleased with Kunti. Now this is one where he was very angry, because, and it's also a good pastime for talking about people being envious, because we talked about Prabhupada's God brothers were so envious that they tried to pollute the Prabhupada's disciples against him. Well, this case was Duryodhana, the envious Duryodhana, met Durvasa and told them that, the Pandavas are in the forest just over there. You should go and see them. They'll be very happy to see you. and you should go at this particular time, and they'll be very happy to see you. What a rascal he was, because he knew that was a time when Draupadi would have already eaten. Now, Draupadi had a benediction that until she's eaten, she can produce unlimited amount of food. She had a special pot, Akshaya Patra, and that's where there's even a food relief program set up by Hare Krishnas called Akshaya Patra in India, where they feed like hundreds of thousands of people every day. So Akshaya means unlimited and Patra means pot. So it's like Draupadi can pump out an unlimited amount of food from her pot. She had that benediction until she's eaten. If she's eaten, then it doesn't work. But before she's eaten, as much food as you want. So Duryodhana told him to go there at a time when he knew it would be after she's eaten. And he also knew that Durasa, he's not a small fry. He travels everywhere with 10,000 disciples. So, and the culture is that if a guest comes to your house, you have to feed them, right? That's the culture. So Duryodhana arranged that you got 10,001 people turning up to their place in the forest, and not even, they don't have a fancy kitchen. They're just living in the forest. This is their 12 years of exile with another 1 year on the end of that. So 13 years. And they don't have a special kitchen or anything. And he knew that Durasa is going to get angry and that he's going to curse them. And that's what he wanted, to create suffering for the Pandavas. So anyway, he went there. And Yudhisthira is like, you know, greeting his guest. Oh, very happy to see you, Durasa, and all your followers. Please come and have a meal with us. Even though he knows how the hell are we going to do that, but that's the culture. You've got to invite the guest. You can't say, "Oh, sorry, mate, this is the wrong time to come to my door. Piss off and come back later." You can't do that. So Durasa said, "Okay, we're very, very happy to accept your offer. We'll just go and take a bath," because that's the culture too. You want to be clean, you know, as a Brahmana, want to be clean. So they went to take a bath. And then all the Pandavas go freaking out. Oh my God, what are we going to do? How are we going to feed 10,001 people? And then, you know, Draupadi's already eaten. What are we going to do? And then what does a devotee do when they're in complete trauma?
Krishna.
Yeah, call out Krishna. Krishna, save us! You know, and that happened earlier, right, with Draupadi, when she was having her clothes taken off once again with Karna's arrangement. You know, Karna arranged that he's the one, Karna gave the idea to make her naked. And then Duryodhana got his brother Dushasan to go and grab her from her room and pull her there like that. So, and what did she do at that time? She tried holding on and she realized, I'm not strong enough to protect myself. So eventually she let go with one hand and then eventually both hands. Full surrender. Hey Krishna, hey Hoga, hey Govinda, like that called out, and then Krishna supplied unlimited cloth. So she's a devotee, surrendered devotee. She knows what to do. So her and the Pandavas just called out to Krishna, save us. And Krishna immediately appeared there, and he said, give me something to eat. And they said, that's the problem. We've got nothing to eat. And he said, just say something, anything. Go to the kitchen, look at that pot. Go look and find something in that pot. So sure enough, she went to the pot, and there was just one grain of rice, or I can't remember, a bit of spinach or something, a bit of spinach stuck to the pot, or a bit of rice. And then they gave that one morsel of food to Krishna, and he ate that. I'm satisfied. So, of course, you know, Krishna, remember, everything's within Krishna, right? So where Krishna's satisfied, then everything's satisfied. So suddenly you've got 10,001 people in the water feeling, I'm completely full. They were feeling so stuffed because Krishna felt full from that devotion. So Krishna arranged that they all felt full. So, and that's another part of the culture. You cannot go to the host's house full, with a full stomach. That's an offense. You have to go with an empty stomach, and properly accept their offering of food like that. You can't go full. That's so rude to go to someone's house and they offer you food and say, oh, no, I can't eat anything, I'm full. That's like you just blew it, mate. That's so not the culture. You know, you have to accept whatever someone's giving to you. So they would be embarrassing to go there and say, oh, I'm sorry, we're full now. No, so what happened? They just went away. They just went away and they didn't come. So Krishna saves the day. Even though Duryodhana and you know, Durvasa and that can cause problems or whatever, but, you know, Krishna saved them like that. So we should always, you know, stick to Krishna's shelter, you know, his lotus feet. It's the only real protection from this world of so many calamities. There's one verse that finishes off, Padam, Padam, Yad Vipadam Natesam. What that means, Padam means step. So what that's saying is the material world is danger at every single step. At every single step, there's danger in the material world. So what to do? That recommendation in the first line of the verse says, Samasritaye Pada Palava Plavam. So what that means is one should, ashrita, take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. Pada Palava Plavam. So Krishna's feet are compared to a lotus flower, which are also compared to a boat. Why are Krishna's feet compared to a boat? Because the material world is compared to, and what's one thing the material world's compared to? I'll give you a clue. It's something related to a boat. If Krishna's feet are compared to a boat, the material world's compared to a, what do you put a boat on?
Do you put a boat on?
Yeah, what do you put a boat on? What does a boat go on? A car goes on the road. What does a boat go on? A plane goes in the air. Yeah, on the ocean. Yeah. So the material world's compared to an ocean of suffering, of birth and death. You know, a vast ocean, right? Even if you're the best swimmer in Australia, if you're dropped in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, how are you going to go?
Nowhere.
You're finished, mate. You're gone. You're going to the shark food. You know, so we're in the ocean of birth and death, you know, vast ocean. You can't find out where it begins, where it ends, how deep it is. You got no hope, mate. You're stuffed. Cycle of birth and death, samsara. So Krishna's feet are compared to a boat. So if you take shelter of Krishna's feet, well, on that boat of Krishna's feet, you can cross over this ocean of suffering of the material world, where there's danger at every step like that. So that's the recommendation coming from the great acharyas. We should just, you know, very tightly hold on to the spiritual master. We might say, oh, the spiritual master's not here anymore, or he's somewhere else. But his instructions, yeah, we hold on to his instructions, which are non-different. Actually, Prabhupada said, my words are better than me. He said, my books are better than me. And said they're non-different. And he said, my books are my emotional ecstasies. So we should hold on to his instructions, especially the most important instruction. You know what the Prabhupada's most important instruction is? No.
Chanting 16 rounds.
Yeah. To always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We sort of might take it for granted because we've been, you know, associating with that chanting for X number of years. But no, don't become too familiar with it. It's so wonderful, these holy names, so special. Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the grandfather guru of Prabhupada, or is it grandfather? Great-grandfather guru. Prabhupada's guru?
His great-grandfather.
Yeah, great-grandfather guru of Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, said, in all the 14 worlds, because it said this universe has got 14 planetary systems, so he said in all the 14 worlds, there's nothing that exists except for the holy name of Krishna. So the great devotees know that. That's the only reality. That's the only ultimate reality, is the names of God. So we should just have great faith always and tightly hold on to these holy names of God. That's the greatest blessing that we have received from Prabhupada, as he's given us these holy names in the form of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And like Prabhupada said when he talks about it, on the famous words that he spoke about it, he said, this is the great mantra for deliverance. You might have heard that recording or look for it. This is the great mantra for deliverance. So this mantra will deliver us from this, in this material world. And then our lives are already saved, but then all we have to do is try to help deliver others by giving them the mantra. So whoever we meet, we should somehow try to give them the mantra like that. I remember, like, sometimes I meet beggars in New Zealand and Australia or whatever like that, and they say, you know, can you give me something? And I'll say, I'll give you this money on one condition. They say, what's that? Can you say Hare Krishna? And they say Hare Krishna very happily, because they're going to do anything to get their money. And then I give them $1 or $2. Who cares? Who cares about the $1 or $2? But what we care about is that they chant the mantra. They chant the mantra. Somehow they have to hear the mantra or say the mantra, you know, like that. You know, and even once, there's a verse in one of my favorite verses in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Eka Krishna Name Kare Savapapak Shaya Jiva Sparshe Achandala Sabare Udare. That Eka Nama Kare, if the name Krishna is once coming on the tongue, Jiva Sparshe is the sound is made on the tongue of even a Chandala. In Vedic culture, that's the lowest person in Vedic culture is called a Chandala. There's Brahmana, then lower than that Kshatriya, lower Vaishya, lower Sudra. Lower than Sudra is Chandala, dog eater, you know, very unclean, you know, low consciousness, everything. So even if the name Krishna comes once on the tongue of a Chandala, then Sava Papak Shaya means Sava means all, Pap sins, Shaya means completely destroyed. And then Sabare Udare means that everyone will be delivered by this process. Everyone in Kali Yuga can be delivered, and means what does delivered means? That delivered from this miserable life of taking birth and dying and taking birth and dying again and again and again, delivered from that, and go back to our constitutional eternal position at the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna and the gopis in the spiritual world. You know, so everyone can be delivered from the material world and go to the spiritual world by this process. That even we get them to once chant the holy name. Doesn't matter how degraded they are. It's such a wonderful process. There's no doubt for someone that's chanting 16 rounds every day, but even if someone can chant once, it's very good for them. We try to help other people. And that's why Prabhupada called it the Hare Krishna movement, because we want everyone to hear about this. And at that time when Prabhupada was there, it said the Hare Krishna words were like a household name. It was referred to a household name. That's how the devotees were so active. They were so active in going out there, and everyone knew about the Hare Krishnas, because the devotees, and the people were thinking, oh my God, there's Hare Krishnas everywhere. They didn't realize it was only 10 people, but they were just running around so much all day long that they thought they were everywhere. Actually, Janananda Maharaj gave us the service of organizing the first Holy Name Festival in Auckland, like over a decade ago, or well over, like now it's like nearly 15, 20 years, the first one. And we tried to follow a little bit like what they were doing in the early days. And we went out chanting for at least 6 hours every day, chanting at least 6 hours, sometimes more than that, every day for 2 weeks. And we took a party of devotees. Maybe on average we had about 8 to 10 devotees. We went out every day. And then after a few days of doing that, people were coming up to us and saying, you Hare Krishnas are everywhere. I just saw a group of Hare Krishnas 2 hours ago in another town. Like it was actually the same devotees, but because we were so active, they were just seeing us everywhere. It was so ecstatic. All the devotees were so enlivened after chanting for 6 hours a day, every day for 2 weeks. They were in so much ecstasy, we didn't want to stop. And we were distributing prasadam and books at the same time and everything like that. It was so wonderful. Yeah, so, yeah, this is the process. Lots of chanting and try to help other people get the holy name. Okay. Anything you both want to say?
No.
Anything you'd like to add?
I just wanted to ask a question. When it's in the verse and it says, actually, any living entity being part and parcel of Krishna is Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it sounds like they're God.
It sounds a bit impersonal, doesn't it? Yeah.
Like the way it says it a few times, but you know, they're also Krishna. Their mother and father.
Which is true when you think about it. Like I said, everything's within Krishna, so there's nothing other than Krishna. So yeah, we are, in that sense, we are Krishna, but not the whole Krishna, but we're part of Krishna. That's the thing, you know. You know, like if you take the steering wheel out of your car, it's not wrong to say that the steering wheel is your car, is it?
Yeah.
But in another sense, you know, it's not the whole car. But I bet it is the car. I bet it's the car. It's part of the car, right? So it's the car.
It's an important part.
And it's an important part. I mean, you can't do anything with a steering wheel. So we're like the steering wheel, you know. So yeah, it's not wrong for Prabhupada to say that
it's just the way it's worded, I guess. It just looks
like, it sounds like that.
Oh, we're all God and you're God.
The living entities, inquisitive understanding all Vedic principles, is also part and parcel of Krishna, and as such is also Krishna. Yeah, because you can't separate the part from the whole. Yeah. So the whole is Krishna, and the part is also Krishna. So yeah, but then of course the devotees do distinguish that we're just the part, we are not the whole. That's where the Mayavadis don't understand that. They think, oh, we're Krishna, so we're the whole Krishna. No, that's where they went wrong. Yeah, we're Krishna, but we're part of Krishna, like that. We're the whole Krishna. Yeah. But it's not wrong in that sense to say that we're Krishna, because we're nothing other than Krishna. You know, like this body, what is it made of? Earth, water, fire, air, and space. That's all Krishna's energy. And also then there's the subtle matter, mind, intelligence, and false ego. That's also Krishna's energy, Krishna. And then there's soul, which is part and parcel of Krishna. That's also Krishna. And then also there's the super soul in the heart with us. That's also Krishna. You know, so there's nothing other than Krishna. Yeah. So, and that's actually the vision. That's the vision of the most advanced devotee, which we call Uttamadhikari or Mahabhagavat, is that they don't see anything other than Krishna. They just see Krishna everywhere at all times. For them, there is no Maya. Maya does not exist, because for them, everything they see in relationship with Krishna, like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Well, lovely to spend time with you both again.
Me too.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I sent that link.